Charlotte-Mecklenburg school board members say Superintendent Dr. Crystal Hill is under investigation.
District officials say the issue involves, quote, administrative and operational oversight. Hill is now on temporary paid leave.
Queen City News anchor Savannah Russell is live at CMS headquarters. Savannah, good morning. Who's going to take on the superintendent's responsibilities for the time being?
Yeah, good morning, Julian and Annie. We know that this will be going to Deputy Superintendent Dr. Melissa Balknight. She'll be taking on just a little bit of that extra responsibility while this investigation is going on. We reached out to CMS spokespeople, and they did not tell us any other details about the investigation or give us any kind of indication as to how long this could possibly last. Now, we also hear that they will not be releasing any information here about the personnel matters. They say this is something to do with an administrative oversight issue. Now, in a statement from Dr. Crystal Hill, we also see that she says she's willing to cooperate with any review. Tensions between Dr. Hill and the board were heightened this spring, especially during the budget planning process earlier this May.
Not doing this right now. We will address this after the meeting. You will get further direction. It is not the space and time that we're going to go through each board member's comments for clarification.
Madam Chair, if the board is directing me to amend a $2.1 billion budget,
Dr. Hill,
I respectfully request what part of the $2.1 billion budget.
I understand that,
amended.
and I've said to you, you will get further direction. It will not be at this moment and not at this time. The meeting is adjourned.
Now, CMS has had quite a few shakeups in recent years. In the past 10 years, CMS has had 5 superintendents. Anne Blankeney-Clark spent 34 years with the district and retired in 2017. Her successor was Dr. Clayton Wilcox, and board members suspended him after 2 years, so he resigned in 2019. Then Ernest Winston held the position for 3 years. Former CMS official Hugh Haddabaugh served as an interim until the board was able to hire Crystal Hill back in 2023. Now, Dr. Hill's term is set to expire in next year. That'll be June of 2027. We will be keeping you updated with any more information that we learn. Reporting live in Charlotte, Savannah Russell, Queen City News.
All right, Savannah, thank you. We're not done talking about this whole entire incident with Dr. Hill. We want to bring in our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes, for more on this case. Khalif, when you're dealing with something, it is paid temporary leave right now.
Yep.
At what point, bring us in the legal leaves, do you maybe contact an attorney? Are you privy to what they're investigating? What is the legal side of an investigation when there's no charges?
You're saying if I'm Dr. Hill, yeah.
Right.
I mean, the point that you bring in representation is yesterday. And
yes,
probably
really?
Before that. Yes, if you're having these conversations, if they're making these statements, if you're releasing your own statement, she's already has some type of representation. At least that's what I would be advising her to do to ensure that you can protect yourself moving forward. First of all, you would know intimately what they're alleging, and if you don't, you want your counsel having conversations with them to ensure that you find out what that is, and you want to ensure that you're up to date on what your contract says. I have the contract here. I have the original contract, this superintendent employment agreement. I have the First Amendment and the Second Amendment. That's something that you would want counsel to be going over with you so that you can look at a couple of things. First of all, I want to know what termination for convenience is. I want to know what termination for just cause is. I want to recognize that when any of these things that they're talking about have an effect on what termination looks like, and what is my potential to fight this? What type of hearing and process happens after that? But this is what I would be having a conversation with if I represent her, for sure.
So the school board not giving us any details, just saying, you know, operational oversight, et cetera, and that they're not going to release any comments. But how much communication, well, if you're being put on leave, how much right do you have to know, hey, this is what we're looking into? Or can the board kind of keep that a secret and just give vague answers to the person that they're putting on leave?
It's a couple things. It depends on the timing of what they're attempting to do. I mean, and some of the things the board is saying is plain, and some of it is not. I think the terminology used, specifically saying placed on leave for an investigation into oversight and a couple other things, well, that goes to the language that's within this agreement. I mean, it talks about when you look at a reason for cause, or I should say even back to the responsibility, it clearly says that her responsibility as superintendent is oversight, is direction. And so if you're looking down the road to what that argument means is, am I looking for reasons for cause as opposed to for convenience. And it's a dollar amount connected to a number of those things. Her first contract gave 3 months for convenience. If she's terminated for convenience, it was amended in the second one, or in the First Amendment, to 9 months. This most recent amendment made it to 12 months. So if she's removed for convenience, she would have a severance package for 1 complete year. And so if it's cause, there is no severance package that looks like that. And so the language that's in here at least would support looking for some type of argument to support a cause termination as opposed to a convenience. But again, that's all speculation, because right now, as you mentioned, the board is not saying much of anything, but the drops support that argument.
And obviously, Dr. Hill still has a year left on her contract, so if she was dismissed for convenience, they'd have to pay out the remainder of that. Khalif, right now, I imagine it's a waiting game for them. For the board, also, there's a legal aspect. I imagine they are also consulting with their legal team to make sure they're following everything to the contract, to make sure they don't make a mistake, or would you hope that they're consulting with an attorney?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, the members on that board are extremely intelligent. I have the pleasure of serving with a number of them in the past. Chair Sneed is an attorney herself.
Right.
So it would make sense that if you are dealing with legal issues, when you're talking about investigation, that is a legal issue, you would want to have counsel, the school board attorney and other individuals advising you on how you could proceed to protect yourself. I mean, remember, they are fiduciaries over all of our funds, all of our taxpayer dollars, and this is something that ultimately, if there is a termination, taxpayers would have to fund in some capacity while still trying to find a new superintendent. So at the end of the day, there will be an investigation. You asked how much could be known, and that was the question as well. If they're to go with the decision to fire for cause,
right,
then it triggers a hearing. So then they have to give her notice, an opportunity to be heard, an opportunity to get counsel, to be able to present her case in front of them as to why cause shouldn't be met. Because if you're terminated for cause, again, it triggers a number of things, specifically compensation packages aren't enacted as if they would be for convenience.
All right, well, we'll obviously be keeping an eye on this, the second largest school district in the whole state. So, Khalif, thank you.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.